Hey everyone, just wanted to take a minute to let you know about Free Cartoon World by Richard Lester, which is available on the Unity store. If you're interested in it, you can just go to the Unity page. There'll be a button that says Add to My Assets, and then once you do that, you can then just go to Window and then Package Manager and download that and import it into your project. So a couple quick things I want to say about this. First of all, even though it says cartoon, it really isn't. It's not cel shaded. It's not like black outlines or anything. It's just kind of a stylized low poly, but has a very clean look to it. Two, this is a sampling of a much larger project called Cool Cartoon World, and that is $4.99 USD, so $4.99, so $5 USD. And the third thing I want to say, based on that, is that you probably would not actually use this package, the Free Cartoon World. It's a great example, and it's a great way to test the assets, but you would not actually use this for your project. You would just use the Cool Cartoon World if you so chose to purchase it, if you felt it was worth the $4.99, $5 USD, because this is really too limited to use for a project, in my opinion. And again, it's really meant to be a sampling so you can test and so you can do the kind of things that I'm about to do, which will show you how easy this is to use. So let's go ahead and get at it. So first, I'm going to show you what this includes. Then I'm going to show you a quick implementation to show you just how quickly you can build cities, roads, and buildings using just a few lines of code. Okay, so let's run the sample scene that comes with the project. So it's this right here. So you get this. You can see a few things such as the windows do have reflections. There's a reflection probe in the middle. You can see that the road is nice and seamless. As you'll see in just a second, these are actually tiles. So even though they're tiles, you don't see the edges. And a few other things, there are some nice trees. You got a palm tree, you got whatever this is. You do have street lamps, although they do not have lights. I'm not sure about the Cool Cartoon version if that has lights. If it doesn't, it'd be easy enough to add an orb, add an emissive material, and then add a spotlight shining down if you truly wanted a source of light. Okay, so that's about it for running that. And we'll just look at a few things. So as I mentioned, the road is actually made out of tiles. So even though it was nice and seamless, you can see it is indeed the same tile repeated over. Got a corner tile that is also seamless. The buildings themselves are also modular. So if you look at these two buildings, you can see you have a floor, a bottom floor, a roof, a roof. The only difference is this middle layer. So basically this is made in a modular fashion. So you could just keep adding as many of these in between. You can sandwich them in and you can see that's exactly what happened over here. So you have roof, ground, and then this in the middle. So if you come over here, you can see it's the same thing. Roof, ground, and then a bunch of middles here. And like I said, there's the reflection probe. I think that's about it. And again, you would not use this in your final project either. This is really just for the purposes of showing you how these things work together. So next, let's take a quick look at the prefabs, and then I'll do a quick demonstration, a quick implementation example of how you would use this in a project. So the prefabs are here, and you can see, not many, but it does the job. The fact that you can do this much with that little is pretty impressive. Although that is the ground here. That's not here, but I presume that's just like it's either a cube or it's a plane. Actually, it looks like it's a plane, so really nothing special about that. So you've got the floor, the middle section, the roof. We already discussed that. You got a couple cars. Don't think there's really much to say about those. We have a tree. Here's the two road tiles. Here's the light. And again, like I said, you would add like a sphere here, add an emissive material, and then add a spotlight shining down. Got a stop sign, and then we have a tree, another tree. Okay, so that's the scene. Those are the prefabs. Let's now do a quick example of how you could implement this in your project. So let's just go ahead and go to File, New Scene. Let's take our camera and just move it up in the air a bit. I already read out the script because you guys don't like to watch me type, which is understandable. I'm very slow and I make lots of mistakes. Okay, so we're not going to put anything into the scene except a single game master object. It's just an easy way to control various things such as spawning the world and that kind of thing. So game object create empty. I'm just going to call it GM. You technically don't have to. GM means absolutely nothing to Unity. It's to let you, the designer, know what you're using this for. As I said, I already wrote out the script. It's called build road, although it builds roads in the buildings. As you can see, we have 4 variables here. So let's go ahead and look at the script. So here's the 4 variables that are created. So public transform road 1, public transform floor 1, floor 2, and floor 3. So again, we said that there's a bottom, a middle, and a roof. I only did 1 road because I'm not adding any corners. This is just meant to be bare minimum. And if you're doing a full project, you might not use individual variables like this. You might create a list. That's fine. This isn't meant to be optimized. This is just meant to be a quick, clean, easy demonstration of how to implement this in your own project. Okay. Now, what we have here is we have a for loop inside of another for loop. And the reason for that is because we're going to reuse the z position. So let's go ahead and see what this does. So for int z position equals -50. So we are defining what type of variable it is. We're given the variable a name, and then we're setting a starting value, semicolon. The second section then says take that variable and check against some condition. Is it less than 50? Semicolon. If so, then do this. And then rinse and repeat. Keep doing this until this is no longer true. So every cycle that this is true, everything between these curly brackets should occur. So what happens between these? We do a bunch of instantiation. And again, instantiation has 3 arguments. What is instantiated, where it's instantiated, in the rotation of the object that's being instantiated. So instantiate what? We're going to instantiate road 1. Comma, where's it going to be instantiated? We're actually going to use a vector 3. So we're going to bang out the 3 coordinates. New vector 3, 0, 0, and that z position. We didn't just randomly choose z position. That's what we're going to use it for, so that's what we name the variable. And then use the road prefab's own rotation. So that's the slice of the road. But right next to the road, we want a building. So instantiate floor 1. There's floor 1. That's the bottom with the door. And again, we're actually saying what the 3 coordinates are going to be. New vector 3, 15. So it's going to be off to the right on the x-axis. 0, because it's going to be ground level for the ground floor. And again, we're recycling that z position. We're using it again. That's why we had to do this nesting, because we want to keep that z position. Basically, you're drawing the world 1 horizontal line at a time. You're going along the z-axis. Well, excuse me. You're doing 1 section of the z-axis along the x. So you move forward, draw along x. Move forward, draw along the x. I probably didn't explain that well, but you'll see. Okay, so we're instantiating the floor at 15 on the x, 0, and then the z position that we're calculating here. Instantiating floor 3, so that's the roof. And again at 15 because we want it to be on top of each other. But we're going up to 12 on the y and then z position. Okay. Let's now explain why I'm using 10 and why I'm using 12 here. 10 is because the road is 10 Unity units in size. I'll give you an example when we're done here. So in other words, this isn't random. That's how much it takes to make these line up exactly right. And then we're using 12 here because, as you're about to see, the in here we care about the height of the building, and it's 4 Unity units high. Okay, so here's our nested for loop. So for int, so again, we're saying it's an int. This time we're going to say y position because that's what we're going to use it for. So what kind of variable? What's the name of the variable? What's its starting value? We're going to start at 4. Why? Well, because the floor is at 0, and we said you need to go an increment of 4, excuse me. So you're going to go 0, 4, 8, and then, that's right, 12. So if Y position is less than 12, add 4 to it, and then instantiate. And again, same three arguments. What is it being instantiated, where it's being instantiated, and the rotation of what's being instantiated. This time we're instantiating floor 2. So in other words, floor 1 gets instantiated once per X location and Z location. Floor 3 is getting instantiated once because that's the bottom and the top, but the middle is going to be instantiated several times, and it's going to be stacked along the y-axis. So hopefully I made that clear. So here you're counting along Z, here you're counting along Y for each and every Z position. That's why they're nested. We didn't want to have to recount this all over again, so we're just piggybacking on that count. So in other words, every single Z position, this whole thing will happen. So for every piece of road that's placed, we're going to build a whole building next to it. Okay, I think I should be able to run this now. Actually, I have to place the prefabs here. So that's why this is public. You have to make this public or else the variable is not accessible in the component. So we go to Free Cartoon City, we go to Prefabs, and we go to our GM object, and we said the road would be road 1. Floor 1 is floor 1. This is floor 2. And this is the roof. Okay, moment of truth. Actually, let's back the camera up. I believe I started at -50. So we want this to, oh, don't need to move the GM object, need to move the camera. Okay, move this up a little bit. See how that looks. There we go. So with what, less than 12 lines of code, you've now made the beginnings of a city. You have a street. It's nice and seamless because, again, it's exactly 10 Unity units, and you've built your buildings. They are exactly 4 Unity units vertical. I'm not going to do it here because it's well beyond the scope of this video, but you could actually build on this, no pun intended, and add a randomized element so these buildings are not all the same height. And you could also do like a random changing of color so as that the color of the building is slightly different too, so they don't look exactly the same color. So with just a few more lines of code, you actually have the ability to make a randomized city. Now, this only has one type of building. As I mentioned, the full package, the Cool World, I believe it was called, the Cool Cartoon World, has many different types of buildings, many different types of road, so feel free to check that out. So what I'll do is this. If you want to see me do a further demonstration using the full package, and like I said, that one costs $4.99, so $5 USD, please leave a like for the video. Please leave a comment saying that yes, you'd like to see that. If you don't want to see that, but you'd rather see something else, please leave a comment saying what package you would like to see. And I think that's about it. If you haven't already, please consider getting notifications because I ran a poll and about 25% of respondents said they didn't receive a notification and wish they had. So that's your choice if you wish to receive notifications. And if you haven't, please consider subscribing because according to analytics, only about 5% of all views come from accounts that are subscribed. So this channel is fairly active. I don't necessarily post every single week because I don't like to spam and I don't like to make redundant posts. But then again, there are some weeks that I'll do multiple videos. So that should about do it. I hope you found this useful, and please do enjoy the rest of your day.